I'm more troubled that you're seeing a lot of Republican officials go along with it, not because they actually believe it, but because they feel intimidated by it.
And that was former President Barack Obama in an exclusive sit-down here on MSNBC last night. You heard the president's frank take on President Trump's efforts to change the result of the election. And joining me now is the man that he was speaking with, a fellow named Jonathan Capehart, opinion writer for the Washington Post, Pulitzer Prize winner, also an MSNBC contributor. It was a fascinating conversation, my friend. You said afterwards that what stood out to you perhaps most, president's optimism, despite everything that we've seen. What gave you that sense?
Well, look, when you read his book, it is right there in the preface that he still chooses to believe that the experiment that is America is one that will prevail despite everything that is happening. And he believes that because he puts all of his faith in young people, puts all of his faith in this next generation that's coming up. And he writes in the book that he wrote the book in the way that he wrote it as a way of inspiring young people, showing them how they too could get into public service. And also, Craig, we've covered him since he was a senator and as his 2 terms as president. That optimism sometimes drove his supporters crazy because he wouldn't get down. He wouldn't get down in the mud. He always kept it high. You know, Michelle Obama, when they go low, we go high. But he was always relentlessly optimistic about appealing to people's better natures. He writes in the book that, you know, he sees now how that could be frustrating for folks and that he thought maybe people would come around and work with him. But even despite that, he's optimistic.
The nation so incredibly divided right now in so many ways. President-elect Joe Biden, he ran on a platform in part of closing that divide. I want to play part of what former President Obama told you about that specifically.
I think Joe Biden is right to say that we should all make an effort to do our best to lower the temperature and listen to the other side. But I think when you have a current president whose entire style is to fan division, that's hard.
What was your takeaway from that response? I found it curious.
Okay, so here's the thing. In order to understand that response, you have to hear the question that I asked him. In the book, there was this very interesting vignette about his inauguration day when he was riding in the Beast, in the presidential limousine, from the White House to the Capitol. They rounded a turn heading to the Capitol, and that was when then President-elect Obama saw protesters, saw them holding signs, one that said "Indict Bush," the other one saying "War Criminal." And he writes about how it made him angry to see that and thought it was, lacking class and graceless for people to protest this man in his final moments as president of the United States. And he saw it as a sign of the further degradation of society. And so I asked him last night, so does that mean when we see the inevitable demonstrators against President Trump, given everything that we've seen, are you going to be angry on his behalf? Is that a sign that we have, degraded as a society? And his immediate answer was, that was 2008. This is 2020. And so when you know that, that's when his answer really makes sense. He does think that the President-elect Biden is right to try to tamp down the passions, but he also understands that we have now a sitting president who has done nothing for the last 4 years but pick at this nation's wounds incessantly and rile people up. And incite people to all sorts of behaviors. And so, President Obama is like, if folks are going to get out there, assuming that there is some kind of mass in the age of COVID, mass demonstrations, people are within their right to do that, given everything that's happened.
You also raised the issue of race with President Obama, citing the arrest of Professor Henry Louis Gates at his own home in 2009. Here's what he said about that.
What the episode with Skip Gates revealed was just how sensitive we are in even talking about these issues. One of the reasons I was encouraged this year, during a year where obviously there was a lot of discouraging stuff, was the reaction to the George Floyd killing.
It sounds like President Obama may be at a bit of a different place with regards to race than where he was during his administration. Did you take that away?
Oh, sure. In retrospect, he's had time to think about the role race played in his administration. The beautiful thing about his book is that race is omnipresent in his book. It's not, relegated to one chapter. It pops in and it pops out. But the interesting thing, this one little vignette about the Skip Gates episode, he notes that in his entire 8 years in office, the Skip Gates episode was the one thing that lost him white support. The biggest thing to happen that caused him to lose white support, and it never came back.
All right. Again, fascinating conversation for folks who didn't see it. They can check it out on the interwebs. Mr. Capehart, job well done. Thank you, sir, for the debrief.
Thank you so much, Craig.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.